When British tourists choose a holiday in Turkey, the same question often arises: is it worth paying an extra 100, 200, or even 300 for a slightly more expensive hotel? Or is it all just pretty photos and marketing? Today, we'll compare 3 popular hotels on the coast of Antalya and Alanya. These are the Perre Delta Hotel Resort and Spa, the Meryan Hotel, and the Q Premium Resort Hotel. And the most interesting thing here isn't even the star rating. The main question is which of these hotels truly provides a great holiday experience, and which tourists later write, "We expected something completely different." If you're planning a holiday in Turkey in 2026, especially if you're flying from the UK, this video could save you not only money, but also stress. And before we begin, subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Here we talk honestly about hotels, without any advertising fairy tales or perfect reviews. Perre Delta Hotel Resort and Spa. Let's start with the most controversial entry in this list. Perre Delta Hotel Resort and Spa looks very tempting in the photos. A large pool, a modern building, a beachfront location, beautiful sea views, and the price is often significantly lower than its competitors. That's why many British tourists choose it based on the principle, why overpay? But here's where things get interesting. When guests arrive at the hotel, their impressions are almost evenly divided. Some say, excellent value for money. Others write, this isn't a 5-star hotel. The main problem with Perre Delta is its inconsistent service. One day, reception might smile at you, and the next, they might simply ignore a problem with your room. Some tourists complain about the cleaning, the lines at the restaurant, and the fact that the food quickly becomes monotonous. Complaints are especially numerous during high season, when the hotel is overcrowded. And here's where the main compromise of a cheap, all-inclusive hotel becomes apparent. In the photos, everything looks luxurious. In reality, the atmosphere sometimes resembles a giant tourist conveyor belt. But it's not all bad. The hotel has a good beach, a beautiful sea, and fairly spacious grounds. It could be a great choice for a budget family vacation, especially if you're the kind of traveler who spends more time on excursions or by the sea than examining dust under your bed. The rooms look modern, although some guests complain about tired furniture and minor technical issues. The alcohol here is typical for a budget Turkish all-inclusive. Nothing fancy. Cocktails often depend on the bartender and the time of day. Guest ratings usually hover around 7 out of 10, and that's a very fair rating for this hotel. Perre Delta is a story of cheap and reasonable, but don't expect a sense of luxury here. Meryan Hotel. Now let's move on to the hotel that many seasoned travelers call a hidden gem. Meryan Hotel doesn't look like the most fashionable or the most Instagrammable, but it's here that you get that feeling that's sometimes sorely lacking in cheap 5-star hotels. Peace of mind. The service here is noticeably more consistent. The staff often smiles genuinely, rather than just because the manager demands it. And this has a surprisingly powerful effect on your vacation. Many British guests write in their reviews that it was at Meryan that they experienced a true easy holiday, without constant irritation, without fighting for sunbeds, without a sense of chaos. Yes, the hotel isn't new. Yes, the design in places is reminiscent of Turkey in the early 2010s. But the atmosphere here is much warmer. The food at Meryan often receives higher ratings than at more expensive competitors. Guests especially praise the meat, fish, and the quality of the desserts. And here comes a very important point. When tourists compare Perre Delta and Meryan, many say the same thing. I should have paid a little extra up front, because the price difference doesn't feel like 10%. It feels like a completely different level of vacation. The beach here is more compact, the area is smaller, but the vacation itself feels more organized and relaxed. The alcohol is also slightly better, especially the local beer and evening cocktails. Of course, this hotel isn't perfect. Some tourists find the entertainment boring. It might be too quiet for young people, and some of the rooms need updating. But in terms of value for money, Meryan Hotel is a very strong option. The average rating is approximately 8 out of 10, and this is a case where the numbers truly reflect the guest's impressions. Q Premium Resort Hotel. And now for the most glamorous participant in today's comparison. Q Premium Resort Hotel tries to look more expensive than it costs. And the first impression really works. The lobby is impressive. The lighting, the interior, the modern style, everything creates a feeling of luxury. But then the classic Turkish roulette begins. Some tourists call this hotel the best vacation for the money. Others leave extremely disappointed. The main problem with Q Premium is expectations. The hotel sells itself beautifully in photos, and when guests arrive, they expect premium service. But the service here doesn't always live up to the image. Sometimes there are complaints about the quality of cleaning, understaffing, and an overcrowded restaurant. That said, the hotel itself does look more modern than Perre and, in some places, even more interesting than Meryan, especially in the evening. The lighting, bars, music, and resort-style atmosphere all create the atmosphere of a luxury vacation. For couples without children, Q Premium may seem like the most attractive option of the three. However, for families, the experience can be mixed. Some parents complain about the noisy evening atmosphere and lack of tranquility. The food here is generally rated go, but not particularly impressive. Tourists often write that the selection is extensive, but the quality of individual dishes is inconsistent. The alcohol is slightly above average for a mainstream all-inclusive hotel. And now comes the main question. Is Q Premium worth paying extra for over Perre? In many cases, yes, because the vacation here feels both visually and emotionally more expensive. But is Q Premium worth the extra cost compared to Meryan? That all depends on what you want. If style, atmosphere, and beautiful photos are important to you, Q Premium wins. If you're looking for a relaxing and comfortable vacation without any unpleasant surprises, Meryan seems more reliable. The average Q Premium rating is typically around 7.5 out of 10. So, what's the bottom line? Perre Hotel Resort and Spa is the choice for those looking to save as much as possible and willing to make compromises. Meryan Hotel is perhaps the most reasonable option in this list. Not the most fashionable, not the newest, but very well balanced. Q Premium Resort Hotel is a story about emotions and beautiful packaging. Sometimes magnificent, sometimes disappointing. And here's the interesting thing. Very often in Turkey, a little more expensive really does mean much better, especially when it comes to service, atmosphere, and the overall holiday experience. Because a good vacation isn't just about the sea and the pool, it's also about how you feel every day. Tell us in the comments which of these hotels you stayed at. And do you agree that sometimes it is better to pay a little extra than to regret the entire vacation later?